Imagine waking up to the news that World War III has officially begun. Sirens wail, headlines scream, and the world as we know it shatters overnight. What would it look like? How would it affect our daily lives, economies, and even the survival of humanity? Today, we take a deep dive into the chilling possibilities of a third world war, a conflict so vast it could reshape civilization forever. Buckle up, because this journey is not for the faint of heart. Number 1. The immediate global impact. The start of World War III would trigger immediate and devastating global impacts. Cities could be reduced to rubble within hours. Governments would declare martial law. International airports would shut down. Stock markets would crash overnight, wiping out trillions of dollars. Major powers like the United States, Russia, and China would move their militaries into high alert, deploying troops and activating nuclear arsenals. Cyber attacks would cripple communication, networks, banking systems, and utilities. Everyday citizens would panic, leading to mass evacuations, food shortages, and chaos in major cities. Traditional news outlets would be overwhelmed by misinformation and propaganda, making it difficult for people to know what's truly happening. Meanwhile, alliances like NATO and the UN would face immense pressure, possibly fracturing under the weight of global distrust and fear. The world would spiral into uncertainty, with each nation desperately trying to secure its own survival. Number 2. The role of technology and cyber warfare. Unlike the wars of the past, World War III would be fought not just on land, sea, and air, but in cyberspace. Hackers, sponsored by nation-states, would launch massive cyber attacks targeting power grids, water supplies, and financial institutions. Critical infrastructures could be paralyzed without a single shot being fired. Autonomous drones and AI-controlled weapons would dominate the battlefield, making war faster, deadlier, and less predictable. Satellite systems could be disabled, plunging communication and navigation into darkness. Every day, civilians might unknowingly become soldiers in this cyber war through their smartphones, computers, and internet connection. Information would be weaponized with deepfake videos and fake news flooding social media, manipulating public opinion and spreading fear. Governments would likely implement strict internet control, creating a fractured digital world, divided along national lines. The digital front would be just as dangerous as any physical battlefield, if not more. Number 3. The humanitarian crisis. One of the most tragic outcomes of World War III would be the humanitarian catastrophe. Millions, even billions of people could become refugees overnight. Cities turned into war zones would force families to flee, searching for safety that might not exist. Food and clean water would become scarce commodities. Hospitals, overwhelmed and under attack, would struggle to care for the injured. Diseases would spread rapidly in crowded refugee camps. Children would grow up knowing only the horrors of war, entire generations scarred by violence and loss. International aid organizations would be stretched beyond their limits. Neighboring countries would be flooded with desperate people seeking shelter, potentially sparking further conflict over dwindling resources. The psychological toll would be enormous. Fear, grief, and trauma would become the new normal. In this dark reality, simple acts of kindness and solidarity would become acts of heroism. Number 4. The environmental consequences. Beyond the human cost, World War III would ravage the planet itself. Modern warfare, especially with nuclear weapons, could trigger catastrophic environmental consequences. Explosions would send millions of tons of dust and soot into the atmosphere, potentially leading to a nuclear winter, a global drop in temperatures that could devastate agriculture. Forests and ecosystems would be destroyed by bombings and chemical weapons. Oceans could suffer from massive oil spills and radiation leaks, killing marine life and polluting vital food sources. Air and water pollution would reach unprecedented levels, making survival even harder for those who endure the fighting. Climate change, already a looming crisis, would accelerate drastically, pushing the Earth toward irreversible damage. In essence, humanity's war with itself could very well become a war against the planet, one that we might not survive. Number 5. Could humanity rebuild? If humanity somehow survives the horrors of World War III, the road to recovery would be long and treacherous. Rebuilding cities, economies, and trust between nations could take decades or even centuries. New political systems might emerge, possibly more authoritarian in response to the chaos, or alternatively, more democratic in the hope of preventing future war. Communities would have to relearn how to coexist peacefully, prioritizing sustainability, cooperation, and innovation. Scientific advancements could shift dramatically, focusing less on profit and more on survival and healing. Art, music, and literature would likely reflect them. Collective trauma becoming powerful tools for processing grief and rebuilding culture. Education would play a crucial role in teaching future generations the cost of war and the importance of peace. Humanity has always shown resilience in the face of disaster. Whether we can do so again after a third world war would be the ultimate test of our spirit. World War III would not just be another chapter in history, it could be the end of history itself as we know it. Yet within that darkness, there's a glimmer of hope. The hope that through understanding the horrors of such a conflict, we might work harder to prevent it. The future is still unwritten, and it's up to us to choose peace over destruction.